All right, welcome back to the American Movie Podcast. This is the host of the American Movie Podcast, Matthew Benjamin. What's going on? Okay, today I'm going to go over the top 5 underrated movies. And these are a splice of comedies and noir. Noir is like a mysterious, cynical crime movie, and then a mix of crime and comedy. So these are the top 5 that I think don't get as much play as they deserve. So let's get to it right now. Number 1, gonna go with Tropic Thunder. Okay, Tropic Thunder is a hilarious movie. It's not any crime drama or anything. It's about this humongous star-studded cast, and they create a world where all of these actors are just A-list actors, and it's a separate world. But the actors who play the actors inside this movie are Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, Jay Baruchel. He was in The Goon, and he's the dude with the weird hair in This Is the End, and Ben Stiller's in here, Amy Stiller's in here, Danny McBride's in here, Bill Hader's in here. Who else do we got? We have Matthew McConaughey, this may be my favorite role of Matthew McConaughey, because he plays Peck, who's Ben Stiller's character. He plays his agent, and all he does is call and contact the producers and make sure he has TiVo and everything of the sort. So it's really, really funny to see Matthew McConaughey in here for maybe like 2-3 minutes. It's just so funny. So yes, this show is pretty much, they're trying to film a war movie, and all of these actors aren't getting it together because their egos are just clashing. So they're sent to the jungle to actually give them the real experience. But as that happens, the director who is directing all of these people actually steps on a live landmine that is left over from the Korean War and explodes. And now these actors are left all alone on their own accord, and they get into they run into the Red Dragon, which is like this North Korean drug smuggling company. So like they have to get back out of there. So this was a hilarious show because you just don't know what's going to happen next. And the A-list actors, Robert Downey Jr., I found an actual pattern in the list I made. Robert Downey Jr. is in almost all of these, but he plays a dude pretending to be a dude playing another dude. He actually goes under skin pigmentation surgery, so like he becomes black. He reverse Sammy Sosa himself, so he's black now to play this role because he's very method. So it's just like he plays Kirk Lazarus in here, so can't talk today. But yeah, this is it's so funny, man. Check it out if you love comedies. If you haven't seen it, it is so funny. And number 2 that doesn't get that much play is Hall Pass. Hall Pass is a comedy as well, and it's about Rick and Fred and their 2 husbands, and they're kind of like in the middle of their marriage. They probably are like 20 years in, and they're just kind of reminiscing about their younger years and thinking about all the hot chicks that they could get with and get off with if they weren't married. And they hear of this telltale like myth, and it's called a hall pass, and it's a week off from marriage. You're allowed to do anything and everything you want to, with no regard to your previous spouse or anything like that. It's just a hall pass. You get to do whatever you want. And it stars Jason Sudeikis, who I love, and Owen Wilson, and Christina Applegate, Jenna Fisher, who plays Pam in The Office. So this is also a great cast, and you just don't hear much about this movie. So it's a really, really funny movie just because the dialogue in between Owen Wilson, Jason Sudeikis, and the circumstances they get put in are just hilarious. So if you like comedies like this, absolutely check it out. If you like Wedding Crashers or Couples Retreat or like You, Me, and Dupree, you'll probably like this movie. I promise you won't be disappointed. So on to the next one. Those were the first 2 comedy ones, and now we're going to get a little bit more serious to the noir and like the crime dramas and mysteries and psychological thrillers. So one that I think that it kind of got under the radar is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Okay, and it's starring the ever so beautiful Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig and James Bond, if you don't know. And it's about Michael Blomkvist. And he's under investigation about, or he's under a libel case with the media company he used to work at. He's a journalist, and he gets contacted by another guy, and he has a special assignment that he has to find this girl who disappeared 40 years prior. And he also hooks up with Lisbeth Sander, who is Rooney Mara, who's like this crazy tech-savvy hacker. And it's all filmed in Stockholm, and Daniel Craig, he lost a libel case, and he's contacted by a businessman who has like a special investigation for him, so he can and he accepts it because he's in this deep libel case against his media company, so he's trying to get off the radar but keep his mind occupied. So he goes and visits, and he accepts the offer, and he moves into the family compound. Now this family that he's researching for is extremely wealthy. They go back years and years and years, a lot of old money, and they're also known to be anti-Semites. So while he's living there, he's just investigating everything, and he comes across this notebook, and there's a bunch of numbers in it. Nobody can really disclose what those numbers stand for or represent. Nobody really knows. And then his daughter comes and visits and says, "Oh, those are Bible verses, and those are names." Who would have thought? So as all of this was going on, Rooney Mara, who plays Lisbeth, the very tech-savvy hacker, she was investigating Blomkvist for a very long time just to make sure he was the proper person to fulfill this special request by this family. So he takes the notebook and all of the numbers and everything to the family's lawyer, and the family's lawyer recommends that he meets up with Lisbeth. And then that's when they start hooking up, and they have to find out who and what happened to this girl 40 years ago. So this is like a really enticing, thrilling, whodunit, what's going on at every single moment kind of movie. It's a really fun movie. It's extremely long because it's based on a book. And everybody will say, "Oh, the book is so much better." I did read it. The book is better, but isn't it so snobby when you hear people say, "Oh, that's a movie"? Well, I read the book and it is just way better. Well, yeah, it's way better because you get 10 hours, not 3, to get immersed inside of the story. So yeah, of course it's better, you silly goose. So yeah, it's so funny when people say that to me. But nonetheless, this is a really cool movie if you like these type of thrilling dramas and mysteries. It's a very, very cool movie. So I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite movies. And now we get an immersion between the comedy and the noir. One of my favorite movies as well is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And here is another Robert Downey Jr. movie. And this one didn't get any play. I don't think anybody knows about this movie besides the people in it. Okay, so it stars Robert Downey Jr. and also the dashing Val Kilmer's in here. Who would have thought that? And it's a really funny movie. It's a murder mystery, and it brings together this guy who is a criminal. Okay, Robert Downey starts off. He's a criminal, and he's on a heist. And on this heist, it goes south, and him and his partner are running away, and his partner gets shot. And his partner's like, leave me. So he runs and he ducks into this room. And this room happens to be an open casting call for a role in a movie. So he goes in and the producer's like, okay, so you're the next one. And so he is still out of breath and has so much remorse for leaving his friend. Just saw him got shot. He just outwardly portrays this crazy actor. And they're like, oh my God, you have the job. So they fly him out to Los Angeles, and while he's out there, he has to go to this pre-screening party and everything, and he runs into an old girlfriend, Harmony, I believe. And she sees him with Val Kilmer's character, who is a homosexual private eye. Okay, so yeah, there's more. And as they're doing that, she assumes that he is with Gay Perry. So she hires him to find her lost sister, and then the chaos ensues from there. So this is a really fun, interesting, never seen anything really like it kind of drama, okay? This was a fun one. So I highly, highly recommend it. It's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It came out in 2005. I highly recommend it. I'm sure you can find it on the internet somewhere. If not, buy it. So, and last but not least, this one just came out in 2016, and this is an action comedy noir. Okay, so this one is called The Nice Guys, and this one I absolutely loved. Okay, it's starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, and these are two private eyes. If you can't see a pattern here, I love comedies and private eye mysteries. Okay, so this is The Nice Guys, and it's based in like the 70s, and it's in Los Angeles. And this little boy witnesses this porn star like get murdered pretty much in a car crash, okay? And her name's Misty Mountains, okay? And Ryan Gosling, playing one of the private eyes, he gets hired by Misty Mountains' aunt 2 or 3 days after she is dead. And he's down on his luck, so he just takes her money because he really needs it. So right off the bat, it shows what kind of character he is. He doesn't really have any ethics or morals, so he's kind of just scraping by and doing whatever job he can get. So he takes this, his aunt's pretty senile, so he takes this job and doesn't really do anything about it. And then he crosses paths somehow because he was investigating the missing girl who he thought she saw, and he was stalking her. And then Jackson Healy, who is Russell Crowe, sees that Ryan Gosling is stalking this young girl, and then he pretty much roughs him up and says, "Don't follow this girl anymore, blah, 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 blah." So that's how they essentially meet. Now, okay, this is a hilarious movie because you know how everything goes swimmingly well in movies and everything is just crisp and nothing really happens to the main characters, where they're just like, it doesn't make them an actual real character. It makes them above and beyond, like kind of heroic, where they're just, they have zero faults and they make no mistakes. Well, these two dudes make absurdly probably 50 or 60 mistakes along this way. Like, I like that this storyline, while they were trying to search for this girl, they came up with a dead end, and the dead end was pretty sticky, and it kind of draws out, and it would be like a real scenario in real life. So it was a really funny movie because they get into all of these predicaments, and while they're trying to find this porn star that has been dead for a week. So it's just like really, really funny. I highly recommend this one too. And they're trying to find this experimental film that Misty was in, and they realize that they've been looking after the same girl who is also in the movie, and then she's like evading them, and they end up trying to find her at a party, and everything just goes south. So it's like a really fun mystery and criminal comedy. So yeah, I highly recommend this one too. It's a really fun one. So, and last but not least, The Shawshank Redemption. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody knows about that movie. It's probably the most widely acclaimed movie ever. So I'm just kidding about The Shawshank. Even though if you have not seen it, I don't know who you are or where you've been, but go see it. But yes, that has been it for the American Movie Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I deeply appreciate it. Check out those movies if you want. I highly, highly recommend them. I don't think you'd be disappointed. This podcast is brought to you by Onnit. It is total human optimization. They have a whole bunch of stuff. They have equipment and supplements and protein bars, protein powders, and anything you need to get in shape. Check it out if you want. This podcast is also brought to you by Audible. If you go to audibletrial.com/American, you'll get a free trial of Audible for 30 days. I'll also put the links down below. And we are also brought to you by Amazon. So, hello. Cool. And purchase anything through that link, and it will be no extra charge to you. So, thank you so much. If you want to support the podcast, feel free. This has been Matthew Benjamin with the American Movie Podcast. Until next time, bye.